Ladies and gentlemen, this is Representative Jim Jordan. First, they find classified documents at the Biden Center. Then the White House refuses to say if they'll find more. Now the news reports that a second batch of classified documents have been found. They can impeach Biden for this. They'll definitely impeach Biden for for Hunter's laptop that shows clear violations of the law. You had to read the New York Post reporting and the investigative journalism within the New York Post, but you couldn't because they suppressed and suspended. They suspended the publication on Twitter because the truth about the Democratic Party is just coincidentally always um, suppressed or silenced, and of course that's for everyone's benefit because another country might want you to know. Don't you understand? Another country might want you to know that um, Hunter is accepting hundreds of millions of dollars to influence Joe as vice president and possibly president. That's within the emails. Okay, Bill and Hillary don't have just a philanthropic organization. Hundreds of millions, well, billions, go through that foundation for a purpose, or went through that foundation for a purpose. Okay, if Trump had what Bill, Hillary, or Joe and Hunter have had for the past 10 years or so, media wouldn't stop. But now you're getting classified data, mishandling of classified data, in addition to all the issues surrounding Hunter. So you have no clue if they sold classified data. I'm not saying they did. I'm not accusing them. But if they're selling access and if they're accepting essentially what amounts to graft and potential bribery schemes, or if they're help setting up these schemes, why wouldn't you be concerned about potentially this classified data being sold? I think they accused Trump of that, but Trump was a former president, so um, you have within this tweet you have underneath like responses saying, "Oh, and now do Trump." It's like, well, Trump was already investigated. He was a former president with the power to classify and declassify. They couldn't find anything. The Federal Bureau of Investigation already had Trump's Mar-a-Lago classified data. Bill Clinton had classified data and a sock drawer next to his underwear. So they didn't have anything on Trump. Why? Because he's a former president with the power to classify and declassify. That's the primary difference. The vice president does not have the power. The vice president is not the commander in chief, and the vice president does not have the power to classify and declassify. It doesn't have the same authority as the president on that issue. Neither does the Secretary of State. So you had Clinton, who siphoned classified data onto servers, and then you had Biden, who just had a second batch that we just found today. This is huge, ladies and gentlemen. I know a lot of people kind of can't really wrap their heads around it. Like I can't even wrap my head around it as well. I mean, it's kind of difficult to look at this and understand, okay, what are the repercussions? But there could very well be impeachment from this. The House Judiciary Committee can look into this along with the House Oversight Committee. And Jim Jordan, I mean, everyone is now circling, and these Republicans now are like sharks circling a sea lion. Okay, you see what's taking place. This is a gift, and it's a gift for a number of reasons. Biden likely broke the law. If you find a second batch of classified documents, how did they get there? Who removed them? We know how Trump removed his. He was a former president. They said, "Oh, you got to leave the Oval Office." So he left. They still weren't happy. How did they get there? And did Hunter have access to them? Has Hunter ever had access to classified data? How about almost certainly yes? And if you have Hunter associating with a bunch of wonderful people all the time, it's a walking national security risk. So now you have a second batch, ladies and gentlemen. I did a segment on that earlier, about 3 hours ago, and I don't think people really are like understand what's going on. You have a second time in 2 days, 2 or 3 days. that Biden has now been implicated in what they created. The Department of Justice went after the direct political rivals again and created a special counsel against Trump, a second one. And then they said, well, Trump had nuclear codes. No, he didn't. That's absurd. And if he did, he definitely would have been indicted. See, they didn't indict Trump, not because they didn't want to, because they couldn't. They don't indict Hillary or Hunter or Joe because they don't want to. There's a difference. Okay, there's a difference between covering up crime and trying to find a crime from somebody who's innocent. When Democrats and media investigate Trump, they're trying to find something because they despise him. When they investigate and just happen to find classified data with Joe, they want to mitigate that by saying, "Well, we're investigating. We couldn't find anything," because they wouldn't dare indict a Democrat. So hit subscribe to this channel right now, every day at 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. on H.A. Goodman. We'll talk about, we'll have videos, and I'd love to share the mornings with you, ladies and gentlemen. 8 a.m. tomorrow and 11 a.m. Tomorrow morning and every morning, forever on this channel. Hit subscribe. Go to H.A. Goodman's other channel as well. And I mean, impeachment, this could be a second impeachment or a first impeachment. They can impeach Biden on this. Okay, just you could read all the articles written since the Mar-a-Lago raid, erase, cross out Trump, put Biden in, and all the articles calling for indictment. Well, you can indict and also you can impeach. You can impeach first and then indict after 24, which is what I talked about prior to this one. If Trump broke the law as a former president when he's already when the Supreme Court has already ruled that a president, as commander in chief, can classify and declassify. Okay, and there is precedent where he can decide what's personal. Okay, that's the judge that defended Clinton, who had classified documents next to his underwear in a sock drawer. You're not going to get Trump on anything. But again, what Biden did was when he was vice president. Furthermore, he wasn't a former president and he didn't declassify any of this. We know that because he didn't know how they left his possession. So he implicated himself. He told on himself, so to speak, when he said, "Well, I don't know how this happened." Well, then don't say you declassified anything as president. But to my new Patreons, thank you so much. I cannot thank you enough, ladies and gentlemen. Become a member of this channel. Give a super thanks. Super thanks is below. And go to hagoodman.com to read my writing in The Hill, The Huffington Post, Salon, The Jerusalem Post, The Federalist, and other publications. It's interesting because they have to lie about it, or they have to say, now do Trump. Like, they can never, the hypocrisy is unbelievable. The hypocrisy is just unbelievable. So you look and it's like, they spent months talking about how classified data should be kept secure and how Trump was a national security risk. This is the second day. I don't think everybody really understands. This is the second day that this took place. This is a catastrophe. This is a catastrophe for Biden. And Jim Jordan tomorrow could call for impeachment proceedings. Okay? The House Judiciary and House Oversight, if they find out how this classified data got there, why Biden didn't know, and Hunter, they're going to impeach Joe on Hunter. And if Hunter had access to this, they could demand testimony from Hunter tomorrow. So, I mean, this is huge, ladies and gentlemen. This is a huge, huge story. Now, if they find a third batch of classified documents the next day or sometime this week, I mean, you're talking about an absolute nightmare. Okay, so already the economy is tanking and foreign policy is a catastrophe. Um, Without all of media, including late night, propping him up, Biden would be in the mid 30s or low 30s in terms of approval. So you have this, and you have this issue is almost certainly going to make another Democrat run to take his place in 24. And we know who that is. Why aren't I 50 points ahead, you might ask? But anyway, give me your thoughts below. Jim Jordan is at the forefront of everything, and definitely this, along with Matt Gaetz and others. Give me your thoughts. Thank you. I'll be back in a couple of hours.